money that I collected. It's honorable that brought money.
Contribution to Nigerian people.
Me, I want all of now look at this.
But there comes a time when you want to take steps every day to make this country a better place.
And the new Nigeria is
education is telling them it's time to change.
Yes, it's another beautiful day, and you are right here tuned to the program Ground Zero, and we are starting a very, very new and wonderful package. And this week's package, which you'd also be listening to in the coming week, is one that is actually coming to you from some of our new partners on Ground Zero, and they'll be in charge of powering the subsequent editions of this program that you'll be listening to in the coming week. And it's one that has got to do with tax education. And tax education, like we know, is something that's vitally important to everybody, and every Nigerians should be proud to be part of it. And like I said, on Ground Zero in the coming weeks, it should be one that is actually coming to you by Tax Justice System, hosted by Hope for Communities and Children Initiative, and they will majorly be anchoring the tax education that we'll be having in the coming weeks. And like we all know, tax is one language and one word that Nigerians always hear and listen to. But do we really, in the true sense of it, understand what taxes are? What kind of taxes are available? People sometimes mistake levies for taxes and all of that. All of this, our tax illiteracy, is something that the Tax Justice System and Tax Justice Network, hosted by the Hope for Communities and Children Initiative, will be enlightening and educating us on in the coming week. And on Ground Zero today, they will be taking charge and taking control. So I want to welcome you to the program. And if you've been following and listening to us in the past few days, you've heard us talk about this program that's coming up and the fact that we'll all be enlightened, informed, and educated in respect of all of these. And we'll be looking at the Kaduna State Tax System, the tax law, tax administration, how you can seek redress, and generally what penalties are available. Also, voluntary tax payment, the link between tax that we pay and development, what are the different taxes that we are expected to pay, and how to make our tax payment. The program would also give you an insight into how to demand for accountability of the utilization of taxes that you paid. Today's program, we already have a loaded studio with experts and, of course, coordinators of all of this with us in the studio. I would like to, first of all, introduce to you a tax expert. He is one that, if it comes to anything that has got to do with taxes, from any angle, from anywhere, just mention it, and it's ever in the middle of his sleep, wake him up, and you can get a 2-hour lecture on what tax is all about and all of that. Mr. Obafunso Rahmon, you are welcome to this special program on the tax justice, coming to you from Tax Justice Network. Obafemi, you are welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I also have with me in the studio Mr. Simeon Olatunde, and he is the coordinator of the Tax Justice Network. Mr. Simeon, you are welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, and good evening, Kaduna people. Glad to be here.
All right. And hoping that before the end of the program, our third guest, in the person of Yusuf Goje, the head leadership, governance, and advocacy carpet, will also join us. As soon as he joins us, we'll just take it up from there. Now, without wasting much of time, because the listeners and, of course, some viewers have been waiting to hear this program, I'll start with the coordinator of the Tax Justice Network, for him to tell us about the Tax Justice Network and the essence of this program itself. Mr. Simeon.
All right. Good evening once again, and I want to greet Kaduna people, the good people of Kaduna. Good evening, and for the Muslim brothers and sisters, we say Ramadan Kareem to everyone. And we pray that this blessed month will bring bounties to all of us together to enjoy in Kaduna State. Okay, so quick one, like mentioned, I'm the coordinator of Tax Justice Network, or sometimes called Tax Justice and Governance Platform. Like our name sounds, we are here to ensure that everybody, when it comes to issue of tax, is happy, both young and old, male and female, and wherever you are, whoever you are, regardless of your religion, your ethnic group, your status, living with disability or what have you, as long as you're in Kaduna, we want fairness in the tax that you pay. We know tax is a compulsory levy for everyone. As long as we desire development, as long as we crave to see what happens in the developed world, what is happening in our environment, definitely we need to contribute our bits towards the development. And government is the one in charge of allocation and development and monitoring of the development that we see around. However, in payment of these dues and levies and taxes, we demand that there is fairness. We promote a progressive tax system whereby those who are richer are paying more, and those who are trying to come up are given the benefit for them to also grow. So that when we have many people paying the tax, everybody is happy and we are all enjoying the development of the state together. So that's one aspect. So quickly, I want to talk around the support that we have. I work with Hope for Community and Children Initiative, that's the host organization of Tax Justice Network. Okay. However, these activities, this radio we are hearing now wouldn't have been possible without the support of Christian Aid. Christian Aid is an international organization who came to Kaduna, who love seeing fairness around justice and equity. And they're the one that give us the support. Go and tell people of Kaduna the benefit of tax. Tell them why they need to also contribute their bit so that they can hold government accountable. If you have done your own bit, you can call the governor and say, please, when they call for dialogue, you can come around and say, sir, I want to know how you are spending my tax I've been paying all the while. But you have not done that, you don't have the guts to demand for accountability. When you have done your bit, it's easier. You can come to the round table and say, I'm not happy with this, and okay, governor will take note of it, or whoever is in charge of all of this will take note of it because you have done your bit. But if you have not done it, you don't have the guts to act. So thank you.
All right, you've heard it. You need to play your part in this cycle of governance. And like you also heard Mr. Simeon also saying that you need to play your role. And indeed, we all know that until you play your role, you cannot make some form of demands, because until you are a responsible citizen, you cannot hold those in leadership accountable for some of the things, and also the fact that it's supported by Christian Aid and all of that. We appreciate that. I'll come to Mr. Obafunso Rahmon now. We are talking about taxes. Please break it down to the woman selling coffee on the street, those in the non-formal sector. Break it down so that they would even understand what we are talking about when we talk about taxes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ehis Agbon. Very, very good name in my ears. When I came in, I was shocked to meet somebody so close to me. Thank you for the warm reception.
Thank you so very much.
The job is simple, just to tell us about tax in a way that will be understandable to all without being too technical about it. It's just we say it's a compulsory contribution. A compulsory contribution from everyone whom we call taxpayers. To make that contribution, it can be on your income, it can be on your property, it can be on maybe goods that you are producing, it can be on documents that relate business relationship between two parties. So there are so many forms of taxes. You have taxes of various kinds where government can get money from. But the most common one that has to do with individuals are the taxes on employment income. Those of us that earn salaries, or those who does their own business, the self-employed, on your profit of your organization, then government has a share. Like I always tell people that there are three peoples in any business transaction. One is abstract, the two other ones are physical. The two that are physical are the buyer and the seller. But the one that is the third leg is government. So in any transactions that affect life, know that after the two persons, government is the third. In the religious balance, we say God is the next. So government is representing God when it comes to the case of raising funds for development of the community, the people themselves. Because tax money, we should not just see it as an outgoing of fund from individuals or companies. But government also use this money collected from some people to provide benefits to others. Like you see our children going to school. They give them bursaries. This is out of payment of taxes by those who are taxable. You see, they provide infrastructure with tax money. They provide good health facilities. They provide road infrastructure. Apart from that, you have security and social orderliness in our environment. It is from this contribution that we make, that we call tax, that governments use to provide all these. That is why we say you cannot have tax without a law creating it. So if it is not a law, then it can never be a tax. So anybody that comes to anyone and demand for tax, it is as a result of the power that has been given under the law of Kaduna State that says that the government of Kaduna State, through the power donated to them by what? By the Federal Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that puts an obligation of purpose of governance on government, that they should ensure that they do what? They provide for the protection and the well-being of their citizens. So if that being the case, government now needed money to do this constitutional duty that has been bestowed on this government. And who contributes this money? It is the people that they govern. The people that they govern, the same constitution has provided that, look, you must render your what? Taxes to the appropriate tax authority and declare it rightly, declare it appropriately and timely, so that they can make appropriation out of it and be able to provide for all these beautiful things of life that we are asking for. You see, it's not only that, even in internationalization of businesses, you see taxes playing a role there. If you want to go international, if you are not doing your tax well in Nigeria, then it can never be a veritable ground for you to succeed. So it is a civic duty, a duty that every individual in any community must try to play play their role, ensure that they do their duties towards the nation, towards the state or tax jurisdiction within which they reside. And you know, there are different types of taxes when you come to speak, because many people don't know the differences. You know, we have 3 tiers of government in Nigeria, or let's say branches, if you want to say it. You have the federal level, you have the state level, and you have the local government level. There are different taxes that are to be collected by these people that are empowered by the Constitution and several tax laws. If you look at the federal government now, this one is speaking, closely to companies. It's speaking about companies, even though there are some individual taxes that are embedded in federal tax collection. When you look at companies, limited liability companies, you have PLCs. All these ones are to be responsible to pay their taxes to the federal agencies that we call Federal Inland Revenue Service. Now we have form of taxes that are collectible under the Taxes and Levies Collection Act of 2015 as amended. That said that, look, if these are the kind of taxes to be collected by the federal government. You have companies income tax, you have petroleum profit tax, you have value added tax. Even though value added tax is not federal government taxes, it is a collective taxes that is collected by the federal government on behalf of the federation. Therefore, that VAT tax is just anchored, it's being anchored by FIRS. At the end of the day, it will be distributed among the tiers of government according to the agreed sharing ratio. So apart from that, you still have some advance payment of tax out of your income tax, which the law refer to as withholding taxes. So that is another form of tax, but it is not a form of tax in its strict sense, because you are paying an advance tax on your income, which hold the tax authority as your what? As a debtor, because you are paying it. At the end of the year, they will be able to now say, oh, this is the tax due from you, and this is the advance you have made. Then there can be a net off in that instance by the one you have paid in advance. It's possible that you overpaid as a result of tax withholding tax that has already been determined. Then the tax law has given the taxpayer the power to ask for claim on that excess payments that has either gone to the government through certain channels of asking for that claim, and it is always grantable after certifying that it is true. And then if what you have paid in advance is lower than your end of the year tax liability, then you make up for the balance. And that is withholding tax. Then when you talk of value added tax, these are a form of tax that is called a consumption tax. A consumption tax that is, whether it is on service, we call vatable goods, vatable service. These are listed in the VAT Act. VAT Act is a federal law again that everybody that go into that can easily find what is vatable, what is not vatable. And from that you can easily see that all these non-vatable goods, like you are looking at babies, clothing, pharmaceutical things, and raw food, they are not vatable. Water is not vatable. All these other are exempted from VAT. And in another case, we also say VAT, there are two rates in Nigeria, operated in Nigeria. One is the rate that is 7.5% as amended by 2020 Finance Act, because it used to be 5%. On what? On the value of the goods that is bought by the consumer, because it's the consumer that bears the burden of VAT. So after establishing the selling price, they will now add that burden ratio, which we call 7.5% on that, and then you pay the aggregate of the sales value and the tax. Now, who collects it? The seller collects. It's the agent of government collect on behalf of the government and remit it to the appropriate government, to the FIRS. Apart from that, we have taxes like stamp duty. Stamp duties is it relates a kind of instrument between two parties, instrument in form of maybe takada paper that establish a relationship between two parties, and then you see, nobody can tell whether there can be litigation in future. This is the only thing that is admissible in the court as evidence of a relationship that is legal between two parties. And then this kind of taxes is you take it to the stamp duty office. You have commissioner for stamp duties. Commissioner for stamp duties are there, and then it is stamp duty according to the value of what the contract concern, and then you get it registered. The only snag there is that when it comes to stamp duty on land property, the Land Use Act has vested the ownership of land in the governor. Therefore, you cannot stamp duty any land related instrument without getting the consent of Mr. Governor first. Once he has given that consent, that is the time you can now go and pay stamp duty on it, because it takes forever for governor to give his consent, and he may not give it. If he does not give it, it means you cannot have that land until it is done. You can see the nitty-gritty. There are a lot of things around tax, and when we come again, we look at another form of tax that is called I've talked about stamp duty, withholding tax, and you have things like police trust fund is a new introduction of taxes that companies, limited liability companies, also paid. But
it's not a levy, it's a tax.
It's a tax.
Wow.
Whether it is called tax, in whatever name it is called, it is tax. That is the definition of tax now. As long as it's a legislation that brings it to bear upon the people that they are demanding it for, it is called a tax. So there is no law that defines tax specifically, but we know that from the recent definition that we got from the Nigerian tax policy that was signed into law in 2017. Now that was signed, approved, not law, that was approved because it's a framework that guide what is it called, the taxes and whatever tax system in Nigeria. Then that is the first document that we can say we get a definition of tax from. Then he said whether it is called tax or not. So you don't need to wait for it to be called tax before they say you are paying tax. But I must tell you that all the other taxes apart from the income tax are just your contribution to the. You cannot say you are responsible with paying of that one because it is voluntary. All those ones are voluntary. You can decide not to buy vatable goods.
Yes.
So if you don't buy vatable goods, you'll not be paying it.
Yes.
That's common. If you don't have a relationship that you think will lead you to what? A problem that will be actionable in court, you will not need to go and do what? Stamp duty. So, but however, the only one that attach responsibility that says this one has done his civic responsibility is the ability and the voluntarability of that individual to comply with the Company Income Tax Act and Personal Income Tax Act. So if you are able to bring yourself to tax voluntarily and pay the appropriate tax, the right tax at the right time to the appropriate tax authority, then we would have said, we will say that yes, this person has complied with it. Then it is on that we get an evidence that you have paid tax. It is on that they issue what we call tax clearance certificate, which can be used for anything that guarantees and open doors for you to get any benefit from government or travel document or any sort of things, that even to get loan in the bank, you can be denied loan if you are not paying your taxes. It shows you are not responsible to your nation. Why do you want to benefit from the nation? So all these things are interwoven. And when you come to the state level, there are some taxes that are collected by the state government, but the laws were made by the federal. So it means that it's the federal government that has the power to make that law, because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria said that in the exclusive legislative list, part 1 says that, look, there are these taxes like company income tax, personal income tax, stamp duty act, as well as stamp duties and capital gains tax. These taxes are to be levied by the federal legislator. But the federal government has already given the power to collect, or let's say delegation, power of delegation to collect these taxes by state governments from the taxpayers under their jurisdiction. That is why we have to look at the residence of an individual. Where is a taxpayer deemed to be resident before we can now say this is the appropriate tax authority that you should be responsible to paying your tax to. So if, for instance, it is with residents within the jurisdiction of Kaduna State, that is inclusive of all the local government and ward, that is the Kaduna State jurisdiction. So we can now say that anybody who is resident in Kaduna State that has stayed for as much as half of a year cumulatively in any calendar year shall be deemed to be resident in what? In Kaduna State. And therefore the tax authority that should pay his tax to is Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service. However, we have some people that they move about, that their tax authority cannot be readily ascertainable. Those people that we can look at itinerant workers, all these laborers, they move around. They go from state to state, such that you cannot really say that the cumulative number of days that somebody spends is not up to 183 days in a particular location. Now, you can say somebody has lived 30 months, 30 days in a particular state. He moved to Port Harcourt. Yeah. So they said anywhere that person is caught, is the place where it's resident. So wherever, pay that tax to that tax authority. But we will not ascertain what is the total tax liability you are supposed to pay. And then we will subtract whatever you have paid. He must not pay more than what he's supposed to pay on the whole. So if you, how many months did you stay in? Where's your tax receipt? This is my tax. Okay, you have been charged for how many? So such itinerant must go with evidence that he has paid that, so that anywhere he's found, he will be able to show. I've worked here for only 21 days or three months. So they aggregate what is the total tax liability he's supposed to pay in 3 months. They bill him. He pays that one there. And add to the other one there, so it's getting to 12 months because you have to pay per annum. You understand? Okay. Now, this again, we see them as individuals. Then you see partnership too. People that are in partnership business, they are just like self-employed because there's a distinction between limited liability company. Now, if you look at a limited liability company, there's a popular a popular law. What's it called? State saying that says that they just missed me. That if you go like you are what? A company is different from what? An individual. Yes. A company is different. When we say business entity, it can be a sole business owner, self-employed. It can be limited liability, it can be partnership, it can be PLC. But there's a distinction there. When we say it's an individual, self-employed, or partnership, or a community, that is a body of individual, or a village, all these are regarded as individual under the tax laws, because they are natural persons. But when it comes to companies are different from their owners. They are legal entity. Under the law, they are cited as legal persons. They can function by on their own. They have perpetual succession. They can sue and be sued in their own name, in its name. Those are companies. And then they can acquire assets. They can incur loan on their own, just like a natural person. It's only that it has what? Executive that act on their behalf. Those are the directors, board of directors. So it's only when the company does something that is beyond the powers of the company. If it's beyond the power, we say it is ultra vires the powers of that company, then we shall lift the veil from the face of the company and get the director that is actually culpable to answer for the crime he has committed. It's not the company again.
Since company can go to prison or have stuff.
Yes, we'll bring him out.
The individuals that make up the company.
And that is why the tax law says all directors, all officers of company shall be culpable for malfeasance, deliberate default, misrepresentation on behalf of company. These shall all be severally and jointly liable to the tax law. So except a director that can prove that it was not part of that decision. So if it was not part of the decision, then it can be let off the hook. So we are delving into so many things around this, and we have been able to see that companies are different from the so-called individuals now. The individuals are to be obligated to pay their taxes under the state internal revenue services in where they are residents. Now, the tax, what are the kind of taxes they pay? They pay taxes on their income. Somebody says, can a village pay tax? Yes. Even the dead pay taxes. The dead pay taxes as long as the dead owe before his death. The tax must first be taken away from his what? His estate that he left behind before distribution to the owners. I mean to the beneficiaries. Somebody asked me, can a baby pay tax? I say yes. A baby must pay tax as long as the baby earns income. What the tax law knows is taxpayers. It does not discriminate between male or female.
No age or
this dead or living. So, or foreigner or national, as long as you earn income, you must contribute to the country or the state in which you are.
Let me just take you back a little bit. There's something that caught my interest. That the dead.
Yes.
They wake him up from his grave and say, "Wake up, come and pay, then go back," or how?
He will not be woken up, but we know that before death,
yes,
people can have their what we call will,
okay,
and people can die intestate without will.
Yeah.
If you have your representative in your will, we will hold him responsible. We will say the dead person will be deemed to be resident in the place where he last lived.
Okay.
And will pay tax to the appropriate tax authority of that jurisdiction. And who pays? His personal representative will be held responsible for that purpose. He pays. That's how the dead man pays his own tax. Because it's the one he owed before he died. He must pay it. It's not forgiven.
I thought anything owed by the dead is bad debt.
It is God. It is God that says all things are passed away. In tax law, no things pass away. Once you are brought into the tax net and you are obligated to pay it, whatever you owe must be paid either by you or your personal representative. So once you can inherit assets, you should be able to inherit the liabilities.
Wow.
That is the spirit of taxes.
Spirit of tax is a really brutal spirit. Well, you're listening to this wonderful and lovely program that's coming to you right here on Ground Zero on Invicta FM and of course on Procyon Radio and Television. And for those that would want to also listen to us, you can listen to us via Invicta FM or go straight to procyonnews.com. And there you would have the option of watching or listening to the program. And you can also go to the various social media handles and drop your questions or comments, because soon we'll be opening up the phone lines for you to call in. I know there are so many things that we need to know about tax and what is taxable and what taxes even represent as a trade, so that you, the citizen, would really understand all of this, the limit and extent of what you need to pay and what you don't have to pay. I'm just understanding now that even the dead would also pay their taxes, because the tax law does not give you the permission to go with whatever you need to pay. And also you can start also sending in your messages now to our various handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It is Procyon RTV. That's at Procyon RTV, Procyon RTV. And when we open up the phone lines, you can start to put your calls through now. Let's even open up the phone lines, because there are so many questions that people would like to know. Okay, 0809 799 1989. That's 0809 799 1989. As we are waiting for calls to come in, I want to come back to Simeon. The Kaduna State Tax System. Tell us about it. I want the listener to have a little bit more understanding of what it represents.
Okay, thank you very much once again and for that opportunity to speak. I know our tax expert has delved into that a little.
Yeah.
But generally, like he has rightly mentioned, tax is tax by the law that backs it. When there is no law, it's not a tax. That is fundamental, and we take it as it is.
I think we have a call. Let's start taking their calls now. All right. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Good evening, you're welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is
Nuruddin Salahuddin.
Yes, sir.
All right, your phone is a little bit loud. You are trying to listen to us and talk at the same time. Turn down the volume on your radio so that we can hear you clearly, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, better. All right, let's talk.
Yes, sir, I'm calling you from Kakuri.
All right, from Kakuri. Nuruddin from Kakuri.
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your question or what's your contribution? Hello, Nuruddin. Okay. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Ehis.
Good evening. You're welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I remember almost Honorable Engineer Emmanuel.
All right, Honorable Engineer Emmanuel, let's have your take this evening.
Yes, I think your guests have done justice to the topic talking about tax. You see, I'm not against tax. Where I got anger about tax concerning the governors or whosoever. Now, the tax that the people pay, what are the benefits for the citizens? They only pay tax and they use it for their own personal use. They use it to flex, and that is where they use to do whatever they want to do with the tax. What is the benefit for the common man? Let's start from the state we find ourselves, Kaduna State. Now, look at the way and manner the urban renewal is going on. In the state now, there are a lot of construction that is going on. We know that due to some money they borrowed. Now, the tax that people are paying, what are they benefiting from it? Now, go to my own area, nothing to show for it, and we still pay tax. Now, in terms of this thing, in terms of now level registration now, the Kaduna State now have increased it, virtual everything. There is TV and radio, there is what, all this things. Now, when you want to register your paper or renew your paper now, you have to spend not less than 20-something thousand before it is less than that. What are the benefits? You did some over renewal, some places, nothing to show for it, and we keep paying tax. Okay. So if we will pay tax, and I will benefit from it, I don't mind to pay. And I'm ever ready to pay my tax, but I should benefit from that tax being paid. Not that I should pay tax, and the governors and his commissioner and all those are enjoying from the tax.
Engineer Emmanuel. Okay, Mr. Obafunso would like to respond to you in respect of that. Go on.
Engineer Emmanuel, I sincerely, understand your concern about how tax money are being utilized. You see, before you can complain about whether the money is adequately utilized or equitably utilized, then we need to first look at what is the medium-term expenditure framework of Kaduna State talking about, and what is the direction of government from where we pick out what we call the budget for each year. We all know that funds are not endlessly available to any government anywhere in the world. So these funds, since they are limited and scarce, they are allocated by what? By budget.
Yeah.
And it is possible that budget is not an actual figure. It depends on when we get our contribution in.
Yeah.
To the extent to which government will now do what? Implement certain things. And come to think of it, I want to differ with engineer that there is no benefit from tax paid. And I want to make clear that when we talk about tax is not reciprocatory. It is not a transaction that you get exactly what you pay for the service. You cannot take government to court for not tarring the road in front of your house or giving you a drainage in front of your house. These money are put together in a basket to be appropriated for certain things. The mindset of the government of the day is that it's going to do what we call urban renewal.
Let's quickly take this number. It's been calling since. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Comrade calling from Narai.
Comrade who?
Comrade Kayode Adekite.
All right, Comrade Kayode. let's have your contribution.
Thank you very much. Let me continue from where Dina Emmanuel stopped. What always bother my mind concerning the tax in this country is that.
Yeah, comrade, we are listening.
Is that in a decent society, in organized society like Western country, we came to know we don't have as plenty as mineral resources that we have in this part of the world. During the time of Abacha, are you listening?
Yes, yes.
I think from the day Abacha died up to this present time, they are still repatriating the loot of Abacha. Not only Abacha that looted our money, every successive government has been looting. And I want to ask, all of this loot, is it from tax or from our good oil? Like Arab countries, we learn that their society or their economy is tax-free. What makes it difficult for us?
Okay.
With the abundance of resources that God has given to us, for us to go the will of Arab countries.
Okay.
For our government to declare tax-free economy.
Okay.
All this money, the money we make from good oil on a daily basis is billions of naira, if not that.
All right.
Yes, that cannot take care of our economy until we collect tax again.
All right.
You see, we should not be deceiving ourselves in this part of the world. Corruption and looting has made life to be difficult for ordinary Nigeria.
All right, Comrade Kayode.
I don't support the payment of tax because we have the mineral resources that can take care of every government. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Kayode, for your contribution. Well, before the experts will react to that, I know for sure from my little journey in life that these countries that you are talking about, yes, they may have some form of tax rebate for their citizens, but they still have taxes that they impose on people doing businesses there and other stuff. Yeah. That from my layman understanding from my journey of life and the places I've visited. Well, we'll come to the expert. Also, I want to also make this also very clear. My guests are not representatives of the government at all.
Correct.
They are not representatives of the government, but rather they are organizations that want to see how people would understand what they do with their taxes, encourage people to pay their taxes, and of course, how to they create a bridge between the government and the people in knowledge sharing in respect of taxes. They are not tax collectors, they are not. But rather, they are educating us on taxes. That's what they are giving to us, it's tax education. We'll take this call. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Hello, good evening. You cannot listen to the radio and take the call at the same time. There is a time lag.
Good evening, Mr. Ehis.
Yes, good evening. You are welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Good evening, they are there in the studio.
They are answering you.
My name is Mr. Vincent, calling you from Kaduna State. You just talked about a debt paying a tax. You see, I want to know, for example, now, a person who is able to be paying his tax frequently before he dies,
yeah,
and he don't have an asset that, let's say, he's paying for a year or 2 years before he dies, but he has been paying his tax from the little thing he's doing, maybe self-employed or self-acquisition he has acquired to be doing in order to help himself and help the government of his country. And eventually, for a year or 2 years, he could not be able to pay his tax.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the person died.
Yeah.
So this means, and you don't have an asset because again, your debt is saying that the old tax will be reduced from his asset before giving it to those who are it willed to, before it will be shared to them.
All right, let me
What about the person that doesn't have an asset that this tax payment will be reduced from?
Okay, we'll come to the expert. Let him shed some more light on that.
Well, I want to reiterate that even the debt pay taxes. On what liability they incur before their death. That is to say that if you are in an employment, for instance, and debt caught up with you, haven't you been paying taxes on monthly income? You are supposed to pay for 1 year, but you die before the end of the year. Your employer would have deducted the taxes up to the time of death, and the employer is liable to remit it on your behalf. It's dole, you must pay. And even if you are an employee, I mean, you have your employment, what's it called? You are self-employed. The only thing is when you make losses, then the relief will come to you in form of loss relief against future taxes, future profits that you will be making. It is not all about bring money. Government also want to use tax to build the businesses, because if the business dies, then nothing comes to government. Government does not charge tax on negative. It charges tax on your gains,
not on your losses.
Not on your losses. Rather, government will give you a relief on the losses you made against future profits. Talk of somebody who has a business and is being run on his behalf before he dies. He has a duty to be filing his returns on monthly basis. And if it's being done regularly, it means somebody who is assisting him in his office will be doing that to the relevant tax authority. It's liable to that point. You understand? There is no reason to advance any reason for evading tax. So anybody who earns income up to his point of death, he must pay tax on that income. That is the position of the law, and it's not only in Nigeria; it's everywhere in the world. And let me quickly respond to the guys that are saying that they are not advocates of tax paying. Man, I want to beg you to remove that notion from your mind. You know, the law is always docile. It pretends not to be there until it catch up with you. If you are caught up with the law, what you are saying, you will say, I know.
I can imagine a law that can collect from the dead. That you are alive.
You are alive. You say you not better. It is a constitutional responsibility, not something that I think.
I feel like.
You must do it. Constitution says do it. It's not that even as I see it, I don't like taxes. I don't like to pay tax. Yes, you can say that. If not for the penalties and the whatever. But anybody who is not paying taxes, is just the next step to kurukuku. It will take you to jail.
Let me quickly get down the number one more time before 0809 799 1989 0809 799 1989. We'll take one more call before we come back to the studio. While we are waiting for that call, let's.
So let me just put in at this point. Okay, like he has rightly said, Lord may appear docile at the point, but he can also act both sides. Even the government can fall into the ditch of the court. Do you remember there was a case between Wiki and federal government?
Yes.
So it's a matter of the law. Law does not understand anything. Once you fall victim, you are victim. Even the government can be a victim of the law that she made. So let's take note of that. And in social contract,
let's take this one call. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Ehis. I'm giving you your 2 glass over here.
All right, this must be Awusko.
Coming from Kabbalah, Turkey.
Okay.
You see,
what's his name?
I really thank your 2 glass and what the application so far. Yes. First of all, we won't go to school and we read what that's all about. But they are really not come out to give us orientation. You see, what the masses need now is all about orientation. Collective orientation, that is just what we need. So that normally everybody needs to pay the tax, but I want to ask one question here. Who are the real taxpayers? Who is the original taxpayer? Because many businesses go up and down, but we are not paying the real tax. So if everybody is paying the tax, the way the civil servants pay, I could have said yes, everything would have paid a lot of development. But government have their own life somewhere. But you have, at least, you already at least exempt those people out. I thought they are government agents, but you already exonerate them out of it at all. But the question is quite understood. We appreciate them, and I really applauded them for their job so far. But let us come back to orientation through the media office and any other means of communication, so that the masses will understand what has going on at the function of taxes. Thank you very much. You can say
what's the name again? What's the name again? I didn't get the name. Oh, all right, quickly, because we actually have a minute to talk.
Okay, so a quick one. That's why we're here. We need to sensitize our people to make this payment. It's necessary. The fact that we have issues with government, or we're thinking that government is not doing what government needs to do, does still not make us to evade tax, like he has rightly said. But if you look at the system in Kaduna State, that has given us a fair playing ground. We have CDC, a Community Development Charter, whereby if you belong to a particular community, you can hear your own concern. From there, it gets to the state government, and that's where the state government picks what they're going to fund or finance or project that they're going to attend to. Except we want to lie to ourselves. We have our children in schools. We have hospitals. You may not be using it. Somebody who is less privileged is using it.
Yeah.
So we want to advocate for more people to pay, so that we can put those things in a proper and a structure that is usable, that everybody will use it. And in fact, some of you will begin to leave the private hospital and be coming to the public hospital because of the good service delivery you are enjoying. So that's where we are advocating and where we're going.
Wow. It's been very, very educative, and I wish it would continue. And you made mention of Community Development Charter. I wish Yusuf Goje was here. I know that area. Yeah, he is very strong. Well, don't not to worry. On Friday, God's willing, we'll be here again to continue on the discussion that we started today, because it is very, very important. Now, some people would say government is not doing anything, but I laugh. There are roads that you apply.
Yes.
There are street lights, someone must pay for them. Even if you will say those that are using the water supply from the water agency, they pay their water rates, their bill. There are some public water sources where people go to fetch water.
Yes.
All of that. Well, all said and done, it is responsible to be a taxpayer.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And our party shot now. In 1 minute, give me, please, in 1 minute. So, Obafunso Rahmon is a tax expert. Give us in 1 minute our party
really
shot.
appreciate the contributions, the feelers from outside. It's good. I once said that, yes, for you to feel like that, but I beg you all, do not be recalcitrant not to pay your taxes. It is an offense punishable under the law, and you have your law in Kaduna State passed by your representations in the State House of Assembly. The most recent one is Kaduna State Tax Consolidation Codification Law number 8, which was passed in 2020. This has consolidated all kind of tax laws in Kaduna State. You can get one for yourself. Visit the nearest tax offices, area offices closer to you. You can get a copy. Familiarize yourself with it, and you'll be better educated. Thank you for listening.
And Simeon?
Thank you very much. Thank you again for all our listeners. I want to also admonish every one of us to pay our tax. That's the truth of it. The more the merrier. When all of us are being responsible in our payments, it reduces the pain on the few that are paying. I'm telling you, people are making huge profits in this Kaduna State, and they're not paying anything.
Of course.
And that's why we're having what we have to be. So please do your best. Let's leave government aside. When you do your responsibility as part of your social contract, when the time comes, we'll hold them responsible and accountable. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so very much. I would also want the listener, both those listening to us online and on terrestrial on Invicta FM, that even if you have questions that you want them to answer, like I said, God's willing, on Friday, they'll be back on the program. You can send your questions to our social media handles on all platforms. Go to any of the popular social media platform, and look for Procyon RTV. The spelling of Procyon is Procyon RTV. Go there, drop your question. Just remember to hashtag it tax. Once you hashtag it tax, another question or contribution is meant for them, because so many messages and comments coming to our portal and platform. Just do that for us. Go to all of the popular social media platforms. Look for Procyon RTV. That's Procyon RTV. Or you can send a WhatsApp message to the number 0809 799 1989. and we'll also get the question or comment or contributions to them, and on Friday they would answer them. Also remember to indicate your name and where you are sending the message from so that we can properly address you. I want to thank my guest on the program today, starting from Rahmon Obafunso, for having time to be on the program. Rahmon, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
I would also want to appreciate Simeon Olatunde, is the coordinator of the Tax Justice Network. I thank you for having time to be on the program.
Thanks for having me too. I really appreciate it.
Don't forget that this program is coming to you from the Communities and Children Initiative. They are the ones that bring
Hope for Community
Hope. Hope for Communities and Children Initiative.
H4CC.
H4CC.
Yes.
And not forgetting the support by Christian Aid of this particular program. I'm Ehis. I've gone to the production team. Mercy Ofuya, Nifemi Onibiyo, Grace Daniel, Grace Adebayo, Michael Ude, and of course the production manager Sarah Agbon. I appreciate you all. I'm Ehis Agbon. Plant the tree today, water it, and watch it grow. May the good, mighty Lord bless and keep us all. And that's Ramadan Karim to my brothers that are fasting. We'll see you on Friday for a fresh episode of the program.
Thank you.